Hi there, this is Noah with the Marketing and Training Department. This is going to be a brief tutorial video on how to make more money with order adjustments. Specifically, we're going to look at order options for that purpose, and also how to do voids and refunds. So before we dive in, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe to the ERS YouTube channel by clicking on the link in the corner up there or by clicking on the link in the corner down there, so you never miss out on any updates. So let's go ahead and get rolling. I am logged into the back end. I'm going to go ahead and click into Admin. And I'm going to go to Order Config, Order Options. So here are all of our order options. Make sure that you can see Display and Group in this menu view, and if you can't, go ahead and click into Customize and check both of those boxes and Update, and then you'll be able to see them. So anything that is set to Display Yes and is in either the bottom or the top group, and it might be bottom and CRM event or just bottom, or top and CRM event or just top. Either way, if it's in the bottom or the top group and it's set to Display Yes, that means it's going to show up on the checkout screen, on the customer info page. So let's go ahead and click into the damage waiver to get a little bit of a feel for how we can use order options to increase costs on our orders. So we can see yes and no are the drop-down menu options for this particular order option. And it's real simple, right? You just put a percentage or a flat dollar amount in this cost field if you want the order option to trigger an additional cost. Now, an important detail about order options that I especially like to tell people about damage waivers, sometimes you want to include a blank option and sometimes you don't. If you include a blank option, the customer can just skip that order option question entirely. It's going to default to just being blank and they can just skip it. If you don't include a blank option, that means it's going to default to the top entry in that drop-down menu set of choices. And I like to not include a blank option for the damage waiver question because what that means is it's defaulting to yes. In other words, the customer actually has to click into the drop-down menu to choose no if they don't want the damage waiver. So it's just a little way to increase the number of damage waivers that I sell, and damage waivers are literally free money. So we're big fans of damage waivers. I won't belabor the point. I've already said it like a billion times in the last year, and I'm sure you're sick of hearing me say it, so I won't say it anymore. All right, so let's go ahead and make another order option. This particular folder uses time slots, and so I'm going to just go ahead and add an order option called Custom Delivery Time. Now, we've already got some price rule text that orders start with that explain to customers that they can pick either a morning or afternoon time slot and that will deliver their units by 10 o'clock if it's a morning time slot and by 4 o'clock if it's an afternoon time slot, and that the customer will have an opportunity to tell us if they need a different time frame than that later in the ordering process. And so this order option is going to serve that purpose. This is going to be a customer's opportunity to say, nope, that's fine. I'm taking the 10 a.m. or 4 p.m. delivery time, or no, I need delivery at a different time. So I'm going to go ahead and just write a little customer-facing description here. All right, so pretty straightforward. We're going to set this to display yes, and we're going to leave it in the top group. I am going to include a blank option. So basically what that means is when the customer reads this, if they're like, no, your normal time delivery is fine, it'll be just blank by default and they can just skip past it. They don't have to worry about it. So this is good to go. I'm going to go ahead and submit. All right, so I want to make an order option that only shows up if people put a water slide in their cart. So in order to do that, I am going to go into Rules Availability Rule Sets. I'm going to click here to add a new one. And I'm going to call it Water Slides Extra Hoses. So I'm going to click into these rules and I'm going to say minimum specific items. And I need to make sure to match the spelling of the item that I have exactly, and punctuation and everything, in that item name. Under minimum count, I'm going to say 1. In other words, if they have at least one 22-foot water slide in their order, this order option is going to show up. Minimum value 0. In other words, even if I'm giving it to them for free, this order option is still going to show up. So that's the only water slide that I have in my folder. If I had more that I wanted to trigger this order option for, I would just go ahead and add more and put in another minimum specific items rule. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and submit this. And then I'm going to go back into admin order config order options. And I am going to add a new order option. And I am going to call it the same thing as the availability rule set. That's a convention I always like to follow anytime I've got two different parts of the system that are working in tandem with each other. I usually like to name them the same thing so it's more intuitive. Going to go ahead and put some customer-facing description text in here. All right, I need to leave display set to yes and attach the availability rule set that we just made to this order option in order to make it so that it shows up only when people have that item in their cart. So this is good to go, and it also needs to be in the top or bottom group, which it is. So I'm going to go ahead and submit my changes here. And we should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and go into scheduling to begin to place a test order. Okay, there is our additional order option, and there are our fees. Here's the other one that we created that should show up universally. Let's go ahead and go back into the cart and delete that water slide from the order and put another item in to make sure that our availability rule set is working correctly. Going to go ahead and delete that and continue shopping. Okay, here is the new one that we created that is universal, and the other one is no longer here, so that availability rule set is working correctly. So let's take a look at voids and refunds. I'm going to go ahead and finish filling out this form. And let's test out some of these additional charges. Now, one thing to be clear about, this is a demo account, and I'm using a test credit card number. So this is not an actual transaction. You want to be super duper careful about that kind of thing. You can use your own personal credit card to do this kind of thing and then void the payment, in which case you won't have to pay any fees on it. But remember that your ERSPay transactions are going to batch at, I believe, 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you're doing that, you want to make sure to void that payment before then so you don't wind up having to pay transaction fees on the transaction. All right, I'm going to go ahead and submit this without a receipt because, again, this is just a test order. I don't need a receipt. And then I am going to click back into the order. All right, now a word on voids and refunds. Technically, a void or a refund only refers to a transaction that was done with a credit card. If you've done a transaction with cash, check, etc., you're going to want to void those payments in a different manner, and we'll go over that in a little bit here. But again, since this is credit card, in this case card on file, but either a manually entered card or the card on file, all you have to do to void or refund the payment is to click on the payment itself in here in the pay screen. That's why I clicked into pay rather than the cart or customer info. So, okay, I'm going to click here, and then I am going to void the payment. Now, you can only void payments before they have batched. So it's before 7 p.m. Mountain Time today, so these payments have not batched yet, so I should be good to go here. Once the payments have batched, then your only option is to refund. And you will end up having to pay transaction fees, not on the refund, but on the original payment. Voids mean that you don't end up having to pay any transaction fees on the payment or the void. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and void and state my reason. All right, here goes. Okay, now we can see the full amount is due, so the void worked. So let's go ahead and mark some of this order paid with a check. And then let's go ahead and void that payment. So we're going to go back into scheduling. We're going to click back into the Pay tab again. And we are going to click on Select Payment Type. And we're going to go with check. And check number isn't, I'm going to mark it the same check number. So we're just going to say -50. So we're just going to zero out the amount that we've already paid. So we can go ahead and submit that without receipt. And you get the idea. So basically, there's the same process we would follow with cash payments, etc. So that's going to do it for this week's Tech Tuesday. I hope this was helpful. As always, the tech support department is always happy to help at 505-435-9731, extension 102, or support@eventrentalsystems.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.